What is going on, guys? It's your friendly neighbourhood drunk Scotsman here, and today I thought I'd do something a little bit different. Now, before I get started, I know I've not been uploading as much recently. I think at the time of recording, it's actually been about 12 days since I done my Battlefront video. Do apologise for that, guys, but life has just gotten in the way a little bit. I plan to start uploading regularly, at least once a week again soon. Got a lot in the pipeline. It's just literally trying to figure out the time to sit down and get it done. I mean, as you can see, I'm literally doing this video at 18 minutes past midnight on a Monday night. But regardless of that, so let's get into it. So crack open a cold one with me, and let's do it. So I thought we might as well do something a wee bit different. So recently, to give you a bit of background, I finished all the Gears of War games back to back. So specifically Gears 1 to 5 and Judgment. Now I didn't play Gears Tactics, and I've not played that weird Gears Funko Pop game that got cancelled and delisted. Never bothered with it because I wasn't a Gears fan at the time. But afterwards, I just wanted to give you guys a fresh, so like from not a series veteran or anything, just a fresh look at the Gears franchise from someone who has no nostalgic ties to it whatsoever. Thought that would be good for potentially people who want to get into the Gears franchise or people who are veterans of the series just to see how it shapes up from someone coming into it for the first time. Now, so we'll just start right away by putting these two in here, and I most likely will delete the D row because I just personally don't feel any of the games are bad enough to warrant being put in the D section. So we'll just go through the games actually in release order, and I'll give you just a quick background of how I feel about each of them. Now, I believe so. The original 360 version of Gears of War wasn't how I played it. I played the reloaded version that's available on Steam with the like director's cut extra stuff that's in the final chapter. Now, as an introduction to the series, it's amazing because it just gets right into like you're flung in the deep end. Like you're Marcus, they come and get you out of jail basically, and it just flings you right into it, and that's you starting. And it obviously ends in a massive firefight and stuff like that on a train. Try to be a little bit vague about the overall plot of each game, just because in case it's someone who's looking to get into the franchise, I don't want to do it too much where it's like, oh, I've gave away the entire plot of the game for potential newcomers. But there was one bug in the reloaded version that has stuck with me even though I've finished all the games. And it's not a bug necessarily, so they removed like the gritty tone from the game, and everything had like this filter over it compared to how I've seen videos of the original and 2, 3 and Judgment looked. That kind of ruin the tone of the game a little bit because it's supposed to be a dark, grimy, like there's nothing good about living in this universe sort of experience, and that just takes away from it for me. So I'm actually putting that version at least of Gears of War 1 in C tier. Oh, and it also ruined the final boss because there's a darkness mechanic to it, and because of this filter that's put on it, you can't actually make out where you can go to stay away from the enemy. So how to keep in the light, basically, and you've kind of got to glitch your way through the final boss. That was my experience. My copy of the game might have just bugged out at that point. So if that didn't happen for you guys, fair enough, but it did really soil my experience of the ending of the first one. And obviously that's pretty pivotal because it's my introduction to the series as a whole. Now we'll go on to Gears 2 now, and this will be the first S tier. For me, Gears 2 took everything that was good about the first one and made it better in every way. The characters were better, the plot was a lot better. The As I said before, the gameplay itself just felt so refined compared to even the remastered version of Gears 1, which is meant to be similar to how the later games played. And once again, it's just perfect in my eyes. Gears 2 as a game in itself, from every angle, is a third person action game set in a somewhat post apocalyptic alien planet, essentially, is perfect as a video game. There's not the only thing I'd say about 2 is there's a little bit of pacing issues, but I would say that's more of a Gears thing as a whole, to be honest, as the plots do sometimes have pacing issues. But in Gears 2, I feel there's a lot more at stake throughout than most of the other games. And with that, when it comes to Gears 3 as well, I'd put that in S tier just before 3, sorry, just after 2, because it literally took what perfected 2 and continued with it. The only thing for me that downfalls 3 a bit is that it was supposed to be the end to that trilogy. Like, it was the original idea was that the series was meant to end with 3 because of plot things that obviously, as we know, happen at the end of 3 that leave the plots of 4 and 5 feel somewhat forced. So it does knock off some points because of not what happens in 3 specifically, but because of where it led to afterwards, is it demeans a little bit and makes what happens at the end of 3 a bit redundant. And if you've played the game yourself, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And if not, I hope I've been vague enough to kind of steer you away from me basically saying what happens. Now, Judgment, I'm actually going to put. I know a lot of people hate Judgment because of its arcadey style, but it's, for me, Judgment actually has my favourite cast in the entire series in it. Obviously, you've got Baird being the main character that you play as, and just your cast of characters around you. It's just the banter between them throughout the game. For me, it's where the banter peaked, and it was also Baird's personally my favourite character. So to get a bit of his backstory, when obviously all the main games focused on Marcus and Baird and Coltrane um, later on, and you really only get to know like Coltrane was well, their version of American football player. I think it's called Thunderball or something like that. You didn't really get to know that much about Baird's past, but Judgment fixed that and actually gave him a really in-depth backstory about what he was doing prior to the events of Gears 1. We also, in Judgment, there's also, it shows you what Baird was doing during the events of 3, because in 3 there's a part where he just disappears for like more than half the game, essentially, which probably knocked 3 down a little bit for me as well, because obviously favourite character and they disappear for half the game. I'm not exactly going to be ecstatic about that. But honestly, I don't get the. I know it got a lot of hate when it released because it was the last gasp of Gears that we got in the 360 generation, and a lot of people were annoyed because they felt somewhat abandoned because they thought, oh, if we get a Gears 4, maybe it will be cross generational. And this was basically their way of saying, no, if you're stuck on a 360, you have Judgment. You need to buy an Xbox One if you're wanting to play Gears 4. Which actually leads us on to Gears 4, which I'm actually going to put in A tier. Now, this is probably the most controversial pick of it all, because within the Gears fandom, from my experience, Gears 4 is the one where people either love it or they hate it. And Gears 4, like I was saying about the plot at the end of Gears 3, Gears 4 is the game that single-handedly makes the ending of 3 redundant in my eyes, because it means the whole build-up of the plot of Gears 3 meant nothing because of what happens in Gears 4. And the best part about Gears 4 is that you're getting to meet Marcus's son. That's the plot itself is really good, and it leads to the fact that the Gears franchise is still ongoing to this day, and the twists and turns in Gears 4 are some of the best in the series, but they're also some of the most you can see it coming like a mile away sort of thing. Also, it introduced the robot enemies that are in 5 as well, and they suck ass. I hate the robot enemies in the Gears series. I cannot be bothered. I literally sigh every time you end up having to fight them. But overall, I would say Gears 4 is up there with some of the best in the series, just not up there with 2 and 3, mostly because the effect that the plot of 4 has going forward, as well as on previous games as well. Now, with Gears 5, I'll say this from the start, when I played through Gears 5, the open world bits, I didn't really bother with them. I just kind of went to the bits you had to, because it felt like non-existent padding for me. It felt like they were just trying to get on the trend that of at the time where all games had to feature some open world element. It was a means to an end, basically. But for me, Gears 5 actually has the most fluent gameplay out of them all, with it obviously being the newest one. And you also have like the upgrade system as well. I felt that was a really good inclusion in 5 that wasn't in the other games, because it felt like when you were searching around every little corner during levels and stuff, there was a reason to it, because you could find things to upgrade with instead of just looking for ammo around every corner because you've ran out. So it opened itself to a little bit more explorative elements rather than just going from A to B. So I would say if they'd done a Gear 6, which they probably will after E-Day, given how, without spoilers, Gears 5 ended, because it seems to be, to me anyway, it kind of looks like they're doing another full trilogy. And also, without spoiling anything as well, there's choices in Gears 5 as well that affect the plot, which is a new element for the series. So if you take that, the upgrade system, and the open world elements, 2 out of the 3 for me are welcome changes, but everything else it done, mostly the open world. If they make a Gears 6, like I says, they probably will, they don't have to include that for me in the next one, because it felt like needless padding that just didn't need to be there. I will say one thing in Gears 5's favour, the cast that it brings over from 4, I felt done a better performance in 5 than they did in 4. But for me, Gears 4 is still better because the overall plot was superior to 5. But I feel 5 will be more impactful going forward because of those elements, like I was saying previously about how there's choices and stuff. But that just about does it, to be honest, guys. One more thing about 5 as well is that the Hive Busters DLC, and this is why I put 5 in B tier, because if it wasn't for the Hive Busters DLC, 5 would probably actually be C tier. And like I said before, C tier isn't a bad thing, it's just because of the peak that the series hit with 2 and 3. I feel it's just always going to be chasing that. But the Hive Busters DLC and the characters and the story writing, because as well that doesn't have the open world, but it still has the upgrade and elements that were in the main game. It doesn't have any choices that you need to make, so only one element that from the main game made it over to differentiate it from Gears 4 in previous games. But overall, the Hive Busters DLC I actually enjoyed more than the main game of 5. The cast of characters and everything were way better. So I feel the approach they took to the Hive Busters DLC should be the way that they do moving forward with the Gears franchise if they want to keep. Similar to my thoughts on Judgment, like, it's a spin off game, but I had more fun with it than some elements of the other main games. And Hive Busters is essentially this generation's Gears Judgment. So if I could put Hive Busters on its own, I would actually put Hive Busters high A tier, low S tier. I enjoyed it that much compared to base game Gears 5. But in conclusion, guys, so if we go by the tiers, I haven't played original version of Gears 1, Gears Tactics, or that stupid Funko Pop game. I rank Gears 1 C tier, mostly, I'm guessing mostly due to my experience with the somewhat subpar remaster of it that's on PC. Gears 5, I rank it B tier. Amazing game. It's just held back with needless padding, and the cast of characters that's in it outside of the Hive Busters DLC didn't feel as strong as they were, the same characters were in 4. But the new things like the upgrade system and the choices that you actually have to make got it up a bit, or else it probably would have been C tier. And as it says, Hive Busters would have been high A tier, low S tier, if it had a section for it here. Gears 4, amazing game. First of its generation, the first next gen Gears game. Brilliant new cast of characters. They hit their peak in this game. The story was a bit predictable, and it basically undone everything that was done in the 3 previous games. Gears Judgment, amazing spin off game that shows us the backstory of Baird, introduces to what he was doing during 3, and introduces other new characters as well. And it has a more arcade focus action that I actually really enjoyed. Gears 3, basically just done what 2 done, kept it going, but the only reason it's second and not first is because of its plot was basically undone at the start of 4. Gears 2, sorry, peak of the franchise, and I feel it's just been chasing that high ever since. Best plot, best gameplay, best everything, basically. Well, guys, that's gonna be about it. I want to hear your comments and opinions in the comments. You know, the comments section. And I want to know if you agreed with me or you disagreed, and I want to hear what your thoughts on the same games are. And as I said before, we've got more videos coming in the future, and I shall catch you guys next time. See you all later. Bye, guys.